What's up, guys? This is Michael Slanina with Everyday Cars. I'm going to be reviewing my 2003 Pontiac Vibe GT today. Today we're going to be talking about a 2003 Pontiac Vibe GT. The Vibes and the Matrix XRS were pretty much the same car built on the Corolla platform, just made to a more useful hatchback. Now the GT version, or the Matrix XRS, had a 1.8 liter, 180 horsepower at 7,800 RPM 2ZZ GE engine, which made the GT and the XRS really fun to drive. The base model version, I think it was the Matrix XR and the base model Vibes, they pretty much had 1.8 liter 1ZZ FE engine that made 130 horsepower. The torque on both the engines are about the same. This one has VVTLI, which is comparable to VTEC, so at 6,200 RPMs, the cam lobe switches over to a hotter cam, and it picks up power pretty quickly, so it makes it more exhilarating and fun to drive. The downside of that is it still has no torque at all, so going up hills, especially if you have, say, Ford Dalton here, you have to downshift quite a lot to make it up the hill. Besides that, it's a really fun engine, but the GT engine does take premium fuel, so if you are in the market for one of these, just keep that in mind. If you get a Matrix XRS or a Vibe GT with the 2ZZ engine, that you will need premium gas, which does equate to a lot. Now the insurance on these things are quite cheap, so that does help a lot too. The only other difference between the GT and the base model is the GT had 4-wheel disc brakes with ABS standard. Interior wise, it's pretty much the same interior as a base model. Now the difference on the Matrix XRS and the Vibe GT is the Matrix didn't have roof racks. The 2003 and 4 Pontiac Vibe had the roof racks that went down on all of them, but it also had the sidebar standard. I think in 2005 and up, they didn't come with the sidebars anymore, but they all just had the regular roof rack. I'm going to talk about the exterior just a little bit here. The 2003 Vibe and 4 had this style front bumper with this style grille. The 2005 and up actually had the more corporate Pontiac grille you see more nowadays. This car has been in a little front end accent before, so this is actually pushed up and doesn't really line up anymore. Let's talk about the interior. I mean, there's nothing real fancy going on here. This one does have not aftermarket radio in it. Round vents. Door panels, I mean, all your basic, switches are all pretty much standard. Since this was shared with Toyota, the Toyota Matrix is pretty much the same exact interior. So there's a 6-speed manual transmission, so that's kind of nice. It does have a nice cubby hole right here, 2 cup holders, and in the 2003 and 4 you had a dual compartment, which was kind of nice. 05s and up, they didn't get the dual one, they just had just this piece that went up into here. Now down in here is a pretty big cubby hole with another power outlet, so that is pretty nice and handy to have, because that power outlet, and a nice thing that came with was an actual 115 volt outlet. So 2003, that was pretty good to have. You didn't really charge that many cell phones back then, but nowadays it's really nice. Good feature and option to have. Door panels, pretty much very, very thin padding, hard plastic. Dash, same thing, hard plastic. It was based off a Corolla, which was an economy car, so there's not much there. And the doors themselves, really no storage at all. So not much there. Check out the seats. Now the seats in the GT and pretty much the base model Vibe, all the same interior, nothing different. The GT interior wise, you've got the only thing different from a base model pretty much was your 6-speed manual plus 8,200 RPM red line. I think fuel cutoff was 8,300. Speedometer goes up to 150. Rather than that, just all your basic gauges. They look pretty nice. The 03 had all the red, which isn't that nice. 2004 and to the 7s, they actually had a white and red gauge that looked a lot nicer. This was the only year with this gauge. But pretty much you have AC, recirc, you know, just your standard things. Nothing real fancy. It's not too bad. One thing I did forget to mention that you do get, let's close the door here, when you go into reverse, it lets you know. It sits there and beeps, which it is annoying, but my 2011 Golf TDI, you have to push down and then go to reverse. There's been a few times where it was actually in forward, in first gear instead of reverse, and you know, I went the wrong way just for a split second there. So it's annoying, but it is kind of useful. But just annoying. We'll go to the back seat. And once again, back seat, nothing fancy here, just kind of basic. It does have a decent amount of room. This is where I drive, and you can see there's still pretty decent leg room here. So it's really not too bad. You do have a cup holders back here that come and flip out like that, which is kind of neat. Don't see things that do that much anymore. It's just kind of basic stuff, but it's kind of pain going back in. And here I have the car seat in there. Interior is not clean, sorry about that, but just didn't have time. Rear door panels, all hard plastic, nothing really that nice. You know, got your switches there, your door switch. Just real basic. Now in the back cargo area here, this one has an optional mat and had the nets. What's really nice is it's 60-40 split seating. Just pull this up here, pull back, it goes down pretty easy. This one does have this carpet, but carpet comes right out. And what was nice is they have hard plastic, and this actually locks, so you just switch this to unlock it, pull it up, and they do make, I think this one has it somewhere, yeah, there's a bag down there, but they have slides that actually go in here, and this car does have the slides, so you can slide down and anchor things different positions, which is kind of nice. But that does lock, which is real nice. Dogs, whatever, you know, you can put whatever and it won't get stained or scratched up, doesn't really matter. But luckily for me, this one actually does have this extra carpet here. And it's a pretty big area back here. I can actually fit a set of golf clubs straight across. That's including the driver in the bag, so that it's not too bad. So, let's talk about the engine. I'll pop the hood. Alright, so you can tell this car has been pretty much in the East its whole life. It's kind of dirty, a little corroded there from road salt and everything. But this is the 2ZZGE. It had VVT-LI, which is variable valve timing and lift intelligence or something like that. Variable valve timing lift, I forget what the I stood for. And what it is it's just like Honda's VTEC system, where it switches over to a different cam profile at 6,200 RPMs. Now, the 2003 Vibe GT switched over at 6,200 RPMs. In 2004, they had a smog pump on the engine, lowered the horsepower rating like 6 or 7 horsepower, something like that, and the crossover was at 6,400 RPMs. Now the red line and fuel cutoff's about 8,300 RPMs on the engine. So the best year for this motor for a Vibe or Matrix was 2003. It had cable throttle instead of drive-by-wire. 04 went to drive-by-wire and that smog pump, and then 2005 they decreased, I think, the horsepower to like 166 or 168 for just emissions reasons, and the cam crossover was 6,800 RPMs. So pretty much 68 to 8,300. I mean, you can have a whole lot of RPMs to play with there. So it just isn't as fun and really not worth it. Right now in the 03, even at 6,200 RPMs, if you don't hit the 1 to 2 shift really well, you fall to lift and the engine's really sluggish below the 6,200 RPMs. It's basically 130 horsepower engine before that point. So they're real fun to have, but if you are going to buy a used one or in the market for one, try to find a 2003. It's just pretty much the best year for this engine. Let's talk about the drive. It's not that bad. It's definitely not a sports car. Not really meant to be one. This car is meant for be really utilitarian, go on little adventures. So why they decided to put a Celica GTS or Lotus Elise engine is used in all those. Why they decided to put that in this car makes no sense at all. So I don't understand why they did that, but I guess there's a small niche market. The only transmission you could get in the Vibe GT and the Matrix XRS is the 6-speed manual, minus, I guess I should take that back. The Matrix XRS, you could actually get an automatic, which just don't get it. It's terrible. It's a 4-speed automatic. If you want to hit lift at all, it'll hit lift and then take 10 more years to hit lift again. It's terrible. The 4-speed automatic should never been put in this engine application. You know, maybe a 5 or 6-speed automatic, if they could keep the gear ratios close enough, would be great. But pretty much, if you're gonna find a Matrix XRS, if it has an automatic, just stay away from it. It's just terrible. So the only way, and the Vibe GT, for some reason Pontiac only had the 6-speed manual for the Vibe GT. They never offered an automatic with it, which I thought was kind of cool, because back then I loved driving stick shift, and you know, when they came out, and not a lot of car manufacturers do that anymore. Unfortunately, manual transmissions are just going away in cars. So it's really cool. So if you do look for a Vibe GT and want a manual transmission, you don't have to worry about it, because you're just going to get a manual transmission anyways. That's the only way they came. I know when I look at a lot of used cars, if it's a sportier car, I want a manual transmission, and unfortunately you have to weed through 100 cars to find one manual, and it's usually beat to death by then. But on the drive, it's not a real quiet interior, but it's not too loud either. It's not that bad. It's on par with economy cars, and I know tires make a big difference. So some tires are a lot quieter than other ones, but you will be shifting a lot though when driving this car, because I'm going 30 in third gear and it's at 2,800 RPMs. So it's kind of strange, because you know, you could be going 35, 40 and sit in 6th gear. Like right now, 35 miles an hour, 6th gear, I'm still at 1,600 RPMs. I mean, if you go up a hill or something, you have to downshift, but if the road's pretty flat, you can just cruise along in 6th gear at 35 miles an hour. My Volkswagen TDI that I have, you can't do that. You'd be in 4th gear in 35 miles an hour, because if you try going to 5th, it just doesn't go anywhere.